scrimmage and fade ball to Terry.
Second and goal at the 10. Snap to Daniels. Eagles bring 4. Into the middle of the end zone.
Touchdown!
Touchdown, Washington! Jameson Crowder! Amazing! Clutch football from the Washington offense! They've done it again!
Done it again, and this is absolutely a dog. Now think about this. Jaden Daniels, the magic man, the kid, the come from behind victory. What a throw, what a catch, what a play.
Unbelievable. This guy's unbelievable.
PA and Church.
10:06, Washington at Philadelphia. That's the middle of the afternoon piece on Sunday. In the business, we call it the NFC title game. And welcome back to 9 to noon. Business as usual here. The standard operating procedure will be when it comes to Washington and Philly and these touts, Nordo and I will go in lickety-split fashion because the co-host has a Tolstoy packet of prep on each conference championship game, and we prefer that he does not leave here without sharing every single word from the potentially record 9 pages of Friday Football Feast prep. And now, granted, the Cronin questions, the YA questions, the Greenway, it's all in there.
That's a half page.
But Washington, Philly specifically, and Buffalo, Kansas City has required some deep diving, so let's us get out of the way. These are updated from FanDuel Sportsbook. FanDuel Sportsbook from just a few minutes ago. Why? Because that's the closest place you can even ponder making a wager. So Philadelphia's minus 6.5. Philadelphia's minus 270 on the money line. Washington is plus 220 to win the game. It's quite the split, 270 to 220. Okay. The over-under is 47.5. And along with game discussion and predictions, we are going to deliver prop touts. I have 2 for this game and 1 for the next game. Let's begin with Mad Producer, and good morning.
Good morning. I do believe that the magic ends, as you heard in that highlight there from the Commanders Radio Network. I think the Magic Man's going to be fantastic in this game, but I think the Eagles are going to cover the minus 6. The plus 225 is enticing, but because of how I see the game playing out, I won't be participating in it. So the Eagles are going to move on to the Super Bowl down at Superdome. A couple of touts I mentioned in the open. I actually feel at plus 260 how these games play out. I like Jaden McDaniels having to chase, having to work to the very bitter end, and I believe he leads all quarterbacks in passing yards this weekend. That courtesy of FanDuel Sportsbook as well, PA, plus 260.
Yeah.
Jaden has the most passing yards. I like Olamide Zaccheaus over 2.5 receptions. I get plus 130 on that. He scored against him in the previous matchup.
He scored twice against him this year.
And I think that Jaden's going to have to find other options because of how good this pass defense has been at times. He has 3 or more catches in 5 of his last 7 as well. I would like a taste 5-1 on Brian Robinson getting the first Commanders TD because the red zone defense for Philly is especially stingy. And then I'm going to do this because of
so hold on, back up.
Yes.
You like the Robinson touchdown.
Yes.
And I think you said first touchdown because the Eagles
are stingy in the red zone.
So how does Robinson score if they're stingy in the red zone?
Well, I think that
from 25 out.
No, not from 25 out. Again, because of the pass defense that you were shutting me down on and arguing with me earlier about, I believe with the early red zone opportunity that the Commanders will get, I think that Brian Robinson at 5-1 is a nice bet for me to potentially get that first touchdown. Now, how much they actually score in this game might be a different story. Because of how vulnerable the Commanders were to Jahmyr Gibbs, I also like Saquon plus 255 on 25 or more receiving yards in this game as well. So those are some props that interest me into the weekend.
More action than a Rambo movie, and we love it.
You guys want to get some action?
I'm going to take Washington on the money line. Led them into the fourth quarter at Philly. A-Time Daniels was in a tough patch. I mentioned that earlier. It was like 3 touchdowns and 3 interceptions through a couple of games. Kid was ballyhooed. Kid fell off. Kid pushed through it. He ain't that kid now. So they know how to play them and are not fearful of the building. So I'll take a money line swing on Washington at plus 220, 225. Proposition touts. I like Washington with the longest field goal. I happen to like this a lot. Jake Elliott, 1 of 7 from 50 plus this year.
Ooh.
I can't remember the last time he tried a 50-yard kick because it's not a thing with him anymore.
Yeah.
Zane Gonzalez hit from 57 at Tampa Bay. Conditions probably different, but he still did it. My biggest concern here is that there won't be many field goal attempts because this feels like a touchdown type game. So I'm going to take Gonzalez or Washington at what is that? It's basically a pick 'em. I'll take Washington for the longest field goal attempt in the game, and I say yes on a 2-point conversion. This opened at plus 280. It's now plus 240. So there's some out there smacking the yes on the 2-point conversion.
Any reason? Do you just a 2-point conversion tells me potentially that it's going to be a one-sided game. Right? Because you got to catch up. If we're back and forth. No, okay. So what's your thinking?
I'm looking at it like Kingsbury and Quinn in Washington, having not followed them closely this year. They go for it on 4th down, and they do things in situations that are antithetical to the way most teams do them.
So just high risk profile.
Yes. So
coaching.
Therefore, this could be we need all the points we can get to beat you guys here. And there could be a weird 2 catching a stray out of nowhere. Plus, it's plus 240. So I'll try that. What about you?
Nobody's mentioned the highest rushing line in the history of Las Vegas. What are you guys doing about Saquon Barkley?
Let me see if I can guess it. The rushing yards in the game.
Rushing yards for Saquon Barkley. This is the highest over-under.
147.
I would say I'm going to go 119.5.
Nordo's closer. The over, it depends on where you're betting. It's between 126 and 131.
Oh my goodness.
For Saquon Barkley.
Wow.
It never been a higher rushing prop line ever.
Wow.
His history of betting here. I wouldn't touch it just on principle, but I'll note this. When he goes over when he goes over this line of let's call it 126, he crushes it. When his average over is 184 yards when he goes over.
Two against Washington, I think it averaged out to like 146, 147 with a couple of touchdowns each game, I believe.
You're almost exactly right.
So he doesn't sweat $126. It's like, hey, I got 105, I got 110, or I have 200.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Week 11 against Washington, he put up 146 yards, 2 touchdowns. Week 16, 150 yards, 2 touchdowns for Saquon. I mean, it almost makes the over like the 125. Maybe I should ladder that up. Maybe I should be like 125, 145, 165.
Yeah, like it's a good idea to do that when you definitely are in love with something, because obviously the profitability is there. Like me last week with the Ravens, minus 1.5, 3.5, 6.5, and 10.5. So, but the thing with Saquon is. Say he has 60 or 70 rushing yards, middle of the 4th quarter.
Yeah.
Kind of feeling good about things, right? I mean, he from 70 or 80 hitting that massive home run happens like every game with him. So you're sitting there at a 72-yard bit and you're like under 131, and there he goes from 74 and they can't catch him.
Saquon Barkley is one of the best pass catching backs in the league. They don't use them that way.
No, they don't.
My official prop for this bet is under 2.5 receptions for Saquon Barkley. Why
aren't ours official?
He did have 4 against the Rams, Charge.
Yours is official. I'm saying I would not officially bet. I had mentioned Saquon Barkley over rushing yards. I wouldn't touch it. That's just me.
I got you.
I'm under 2.5 receptions. Since week 3, he's been under 2.5 receptions in 12 of 15 games.
Oh, geez.
That includes Washington in week 11, where he had 2 catches. Week 16, he had 0 catches, so he went under in both of the previous Washington games. But here's the kicker.
That's the Bobby Wagner factor a little bit, in that he's one of the best pass-covering linebackers in the history of the NFL.
Bingo.
And like Luvu rushes and smacks you. Wagner's he's like gazelle guy all over the field trying to handle Saquon.
Washington ranks number 1 in receptions allowed to running backs, just 46 all season. That is it.
I'm glad. I love that.
Well, I'm glad I took his 25-plus receiving yards then on Sunday. That's going to work out well for me.
I'd double up on that Saquon prop you just touted to offset the money I'm going to lose on Samaje Perine.
I always love that.
Well, as you're going to find out next segment,
Yes.
we're going back to Samaje Perine.
Yes. PA in charge, like Washington plus the points with a money line lean. Nordo is on Philly minus the 6 and a hook. When 9 to noon continues, we will handle Buffalo at Kansas City. But first, we have this.
The Fan wants to give you a chance to put $1,000 in your hand with the National Cash Contest. Go to KFAN.com and enter the keyword cash. You might win some cash, $1,000, if you use the keyword cash at KFAN.
The Fan.
Bunch formation on the left, 4th and 13. This could be it with 1:17 left for the Chiefs. Mahomes in the shotgun, takes the snap, back to pass, has time, rolls to his right to buy more, heaves it down the field, and it's intercepted! Picked off by Terrell Bernard! Game, set, match! Buffalo's gonna emerge victorious with 1:07 to play! Oh my goodness!
The Buffalo Bills at the Kansas City Chiefs. Second game Sunday, championship weekend. The mission is Mardi Gras for all these teams. The Kansas City Chiefs are 1.5 point favorites. They are 1.5 point favorites. The over-under I seem to have misplaced here, Mr. Nordquist. I believe it is.
Give me 1 second here. It is 48.5 at the moment.
There we go. Yep, I got it here. 3-2. KC minus 1.5. KC is minus 122 to win the game. No points. The adversary, Buffalo plus 104 to win the game with no points. Basically a pick 'em here. Over under 48.5 according to FanDuel. We have props, we have flops, and we begin with Mr. Mad Producer. What you going to do here?
Well, the toughest thing for me, I have to be honest, in real life, I'm not going to bet this game because I can't separate the emotional from the obvious.
I just think it's a tough game.
I want the Bills to win this game. I'm actively rooting for the Bills to pay this thing off. So I would I'm in that $50 to $100 camp that I need something to have on the line in this one. So I'm going to take the actual money line. I'm getting plus 105 on it, and I'm just going to bet the coin flip into the game. It is an absolute brain buster of a game, but I do have a couple of props that I actually like.
Yes.
Bills and Chiefs are two of the slower starting teams in the NFL offensively. And I got under 9.5 in the first quarter. In their first matchup, it was actually, I believe, 6-0 Bills after one.
Right.
They're going to establish the run, and it's going to be slow going early before this offensive fiesta breaks out in the second quarter. These two teams blow up in the second and the fourth quarter in particular. And so the under 9.5 in the first, it's going to be slow to go. It's going to be a little boring. First whistle of the break, and then things lift off. The other thing is the Bills' red zone defense ain't that great. And so I'm feeling, I'm looking on the ground game, and I'm thinking that what you're going to see in this one is Mahomes. It might be one of the easiest props of the weekend. Mahomes over 1.5 TDs. The Bills very good against the run, but specifically in terms of how they're getting scored on, they're 24th, 25th in the league in touchdown passes allowed over the course of the 2024. Mahomes again over 1.5
passing touchdowns,
passing TDs. That feels like it's gimme territory for me. So under 9.5 in the first total on the game, and Mahomes over 1.5 passing scores. I think that I could win both of those quite easily.
The over is minus 150. We should mention that.
No, the over under is 48.5. Kansas.
No, are you talking about the odds on the over 1.5?
Yeah, the over 1.5 touchdowns.
Okay.
So you got to pay a little juice on it, but it's certainly plausible.
Right. Good. 1.5. I mean, that's.
Thank God for that.
That 1.5.
I have blessed your bet.
I have one plausible bet. Okay, perfect.
That 1.5. I mean, it has such here, kitty.
Well, I'm trying to find if is there an alt pat. Oh, well, hang on a second.
Okay, 3-2. That 1.5 passing touchdowns for Mahomes has such sucker bet written all over it. I mean, it looks so obvious that he can get 2 passing touchdowns. Now, you got to put your $15 up to win their 10.
Oh, I find it. I'm going. You know what I'm doing? I'm going over 3. I'm going over 2.5 for plus 240. There
now
we
you're
go.
Talking,
I am
baby.
altering.
There you go.
There
Plus
we
240.
go.
Yeah, I want some plus cash. That's my fault for not looking more deeply.
Yeah, we don't prefer the minus 150.
No, we do not.
But it's going to be really cool when he finishes with 2 touchdowns and 2 passing touchdowns, and Charts just talked you out of $600.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
All right, 3-2. So for me, for what it's worth, I can't figure this game out. I would not bet the side. I'm not a totals guy, so I don't bet totals in the first place. I can't. It's an absolute 50-50 for me. I do like Kansas City to win. I just don't know by how many. So I would take Kansas City minus 4 to 6 points. So KC to win it by 4, 5, or 6. It's got to be that. Plus 750.
Wow.
So
Okay.
if KC wins by 4, 5, or 6, I'm plus 750. If not,
Anything else,
I'm a fat
you
L.
lose. All right.
Yeah, so I just, this for me is I mean, this has some epic viewing to it.
Oh,
some
yeah, it
football
does.
snobbery to it. The and plus the numbers here just aren't that big. I mean, minus 122, plus 104. The total at 48.5. Now that sucker did go up a point in the last day and a half. So the over's getting bet here. So I don't know.
I mean, you could get you're getting plus 150 if you go 4.5 on the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting 165.5, nearly 2-1 at 6.5.
Yep.
If you go up that far, so you get a little plus cash if you.
What was
if you
that,
stretch
4.5?
4.5's plus 150.
Yeah, so I could take anything 5 or over and get, or I could try to get cute here and get the 4, 5, or 6 and get the plus 750. So I'm gonna try that.
Ooh.
What about you, the Birch?
You will remember arguably the greatest playoff game in the history of NFL playoffs, the 2022 meeting between these teams.
Yeah.
As good a finish as it gets.
Yes.
Would Mahomes come back with 18 seconds left on the clock when they
13.
kicked off? 13, thank you.
Diggs cried.
Yeah, and reasonably so. I think in that moment, that's probably the correct response to that. So this is obviously a massive, massive game. Emotionally, I want Josh Allen to win for 2 reasons. One, he's a great quarterback has been stuck with like this loser label because he can't get past the Chiefs in these games against the Chiefs. I want him to be like Steve Young, Peyton Manning, who eventually overcome the other great quarterbacks and get to a Super Bowl and make it their own, so we can sort of sanctify him as a great quarterback, because Josh Allen is. And Buffalo, they gave up they lost with 13 seconds left. And also, I'm really tired of seeing Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid on every commercial break of every freaking game. I don't need any more of that. We've reached a level, I'm not sure which is more annoying now. Current Mahomes era Chiefs or the Belichick Brady era Patriots. Both so annoying in their own ways. And it's not because they're not good and they don't deserve success. They were great teams and they were dynasties. We're living through the dynasty right now. But that doesn't mean I can't be annoyed by it and want other teams to do well. Of
course.
And I do. Your prop bet here. My favorite prop bet from this game.
Okay, so are you playing a side?
Yeah, hold on. Yeah.
I mean,
I'm not playing side, but I am rooting for Buffalo.
Thanks for sharing.
I am playing.
Great. You're making mind bets, which means the only thing you can lose is your mind.
Well, that's probably
I
true.
always love that one.
Were I able to wager in this state, I would be wagering on Khalil Shakir over 4.5 receptions. Last time these teams met, he got targeted 12 times.
Wow.
12.
And because past performances absolutely are indicative of future results.
That makes it very easy, doesn't it?
I'm playing with you.
Here's the best part. He runs from the slot, Khalil Shakir does. Yeah. He's going to face off against Kansas City's slot cornerback named Chamari Connor. He allows an 85% catch rate on passes in his coverage. And you might be saying, Charge, is that a lot or is that a little?
Yeah.
He gives up 85% is the highest percentage of any player in the league.
Wow, maybe history.
Maybe the history of the NFL.
What's his name? Chamari Connor?
Chamari Connor.
So if Chamari Connor's name was Chuck, all right, so he's Chuck Connor. Where you remember Chuck Connor, the rifleman from back in the day.
Before our time, but yeah.
Okay, well, if this guy was Chuck Connor and he played a really mean slot corner, they could call him the Stifle Man. I'm the Stifle Man, and you ain't getting by me.
Was Chuck Person, wasn't he called the Rifleman?
Yes.
Was that because of the Chuck thing? Chuck Person and Chuck Connor?
No, because he pulled up from 25 and beyond with absolute no regard for humanity.
No regard for human life.
He gunned from anywhere.
Connor, of the Chamari variety, by himself, has allowed 4 or more receptions in 5 of the past 7 games. And that's just one player. Shakir's going to be on other players as well. Khalil Shakir is the only Bills receiver you can count on to even catch a pass. He is the other guys. They're all just rotational guys for these Bills. He's on the field constantly for slot receiver.
Amari Cooper has become skeletal remains of Amari Cooper.
That's right.
Really?
Undead remains.
One of the best route running receivers in the last 20 years of the NFL just has completely lost it.
He's on the field about 40% of the snaps. So is Mac Hollins, and so is Keon Coleman. And they just rotate those guys through, which makes it...
So Shakir's out there all the time?
Shakir's out there about 70% of the plays.
It definitely sounds like a team that can advance to the Super Bowl when your identifiable receiver who plays every single play, like Justin Jefferson is Khalil Shakir.
I always love that one.
But it's worse for Kansas City. Who's their identifiable receiver?
Mecole Hardman.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Oh, it's not DeAndre Hopkins. It would be. It's not
Xavier Worthy, maybe?
Yeah, Xavier Worthy, yes.
Xavier Worthy is the only reliable receiver they've got.
Until the skeletal remains of DeAndre Hopkins identifies the magnitude of the moment and goes HOF on it.
Last week, the Chiefs receivers.
Yep.
Xavier Worthy.
Let me get it ready.
Box.
I'm getting put in a coffin right now.
Box.
Yeah, here it comes. You can see here comes the windup.
Yeah, I saw it.
Last week, Xavier Worthy, 5 catches. Here's the total number of catches for the rest of the wide receivers positions. Cue crickets.
Well, no, generally.
No other receiver.
Go afterwards.
No other receiver.
Raised by you. But
On-air production meeting here.
No other receiver caught a pass.
Next.
Now, here's the problem with Xavier Worthy.
Yeah.
I'm going deep on
These
this.
These numbers are crazy, by the way, as an aside. Juju Smith-Schuster's got a couple of TDs. Justin Watson could pop up. Any of these guys, how do you predict that on a week-to-week basis?
Kelsey
these guys
gets tripled, and the Noah bit. What is it, Noah Brown?
Noah Gray. Noah Brown's the commander.
It's over a half on touchdowns, probably plus 420, and my man gets in there.
Well, he's got 5 TDs this year, though. Noah Gray does. I want a Noah and Noah prop where Noah Brown catches one for the Commandos. And I want one where Noah Gray catches one for the Chiefs. Can someone set some odds on that, please?
A Xavier Worthy tidbit for you. You'll remember he ran the 4.2 40.
Oh, yeah.
At the combine. He is the fastest man in the NFL.
He's the new age Troy Williamson.
I always love that.
You might be right. So here's what they knew they needed more explosive downfield plays because Patrick Mahomes ever since Tyreek Hill left, it has turned shorter and shorter and shorter, and they're not getting these explosive plays. So they draft Worthy in his 4.2 speed.
Right.
They figured out, it took him half a season, they figured out he can't catch anything downfield. So now, since week 11...
It's just that. That's absolutely what it is.
It just has to be that.
It is.
So continue.
So prior to week 11, his average distance of target was 14 yards. Then they realized that ain't working.
Yeah.
So now they've turtled him down to 6 yards average distance of throw. And since week 13, he's down to a 4-yard average distance of throw. They're throwing him basically at the line of scrimmage, the fastest player in the NFL.
So since all of that is obvious reality, you have to love the over.
I like
always
the
love that
under
one.
50 and a half
Generally,
receiving
you lay
yards.
things out like that, and
I
you're
do
like,
sometimes bait and switch.
The value here in the plus, and this guy plays the slot this way, and this safety likes to slip ever.
It's hard to get to 51 yards when you're catching 4-yard passes and you have to make all the rest of the yardage yourself.
Well, you're making it sound like the kid runs routes with his hands wrapped around his neck.
I always love that
it's
one.
with a one of those ankle chains on with the ball.
Oh, yeah.
And the ankle. He's got
Ball and chain.
Yeah, ball and chain. He's got the ball and chain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 10.8 yards a catch. I mean, that is not explosive at all.
But it's gotten way worse lately, is what I'm saying.
You're not done.
I'm not done.
No, keep going and get to the P-Rine.
Well, yes.
We've been waiting all morning for the P-Rine.
People can't wait for the P-Rine around here. I know how much you love it. Last week, the over-under was 9.5 yards. I said over. He did not catch a pass.
Yeah, it actually was 11.5, but we understand how you do things around
that
here.
is
But
not
go ahead.
true. You could anyway. Okay. I believe last week's process was sound. We just didn't get the results we wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Here's P. Ryan's over on 8.5 yards because the Bills allow the most running back receptions for the most running back receiving yards in the league.
Oh, jeez.
You may remember from my brilliant dissertation last week, P. Ryan is a designated passing down receiver, particularly in long down and distance situations. Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco combined to be on the field all year, just 10 snaps in long down and distance. P. Ryan, 171 snaps in long down and distance. His average reception is 11.5 yards. I need one freaking catch from Samaje P. Ryan to hit the over on this. And if you're feeling frisky, by the way, his anytime touchdowns.
I can't find a P-Rhyme prop at FanDuel.
Yeah, I can't.
Now, I might not be looking, I'm not an elite FanDuel mind.
You're a fan of scores and odds. If you go there, they put them all together. He's listed in there.
Yeah, but those don't move that much. I like the ones that are super current.
You can go over 7.5 yards at bet365.com.
Okay.
But that's not in Minnesota. You'll have to travel elsewhere.
Total receptions. They don't even have. How do they not have P. Ryan on here? They don't have
DraftKings
Samaje.
does. The DraftKings line on P. Ryan is 8.5.
Keep talking,
receiving
please.
yards.
I think I may have uncovered it.
Yes.
No, I didn't. It goes all the way. It's player receiving yards. Kelsey, Worthy, Shakir, Brown, Kincaid, Cooper, Coleman, Gray, Hopkins, Knox, Samuel, Cook, Pacheco, Hunt, Hollins, Ty Johnson. Is Samaje P. Ryan even on the team?
I don't think he's on the team.
Well, I mean, you got Ty Johnson over 8.5.
Yeah.
Pacheco over 5.5. I got no P. Ryan.
How about this?
Maybe because you're onto something that is so shrewd and coy.
They're taking it off the board at FanDuel?
FanDuel not only took it off the board 90 minutes south on 35, they just took it off the board, period, worldwide.
Maybe
they have Kareem Hunt at 7.5, but he doesn't get a lot of targets.
No, I would not bet that. If you really like this P. Ryan angle, and nobody does.
DeAndre Hopkins, under 24.5.
Yeah, he just gets no
he
love.
gets
Dude, smash that, right?
Yeah.
But he can't run anymore. He's slow.
He can't. Now, though, if you're going to bet Hopkins, you bet the one thing that he can still do is win contested catches in the end zone.
Alley-oops.
I would bet, the alley-oop. That's where if you're going to bet Hopkins, I'd bet the anytime touchdown. I don't know what the number is.
Digging it.
But I would go that way. If you like the P. Ryan math, nobody does. 20 or more yards.
Brilliant.
You can get to 2 plus 250, 30 or more yards, plus 600, 40 or more yards, 10-1 odds.
Ooh.
On P. Ryan.
Now, hold on.
You are getting DeAndre plus 340 on a TD, by the way.
Wait a second. What was the Worthy steam again? The average, what was the bit with the thing?
So, okay, here's the Worthy bit.
Yeah.
They only throw to him on short passes.
Okay.
Get this. I didn't give you the stat
Do you
before,
think
but
he
it's great.
can go the game without having a reception, which includes yards after catch, of 10 yards or more?
Yes.
It's plus 1,050.
Well, listen to this.
10.5 to 1 you're getting.
Now listen to this.
What?
Since week 11, Worthy's got 39 receptions. Do you know how many were for more than 9 yards?
How many?
Well, you wouldn't. 3 out of 39 were for more than 9 yards for Xavier Worthy.
This Worthy bit at FanDuel, player to record a 10-plus yard reception. Worthy minus 1050, yes. Okay?
Yeah.
record a 15 plus, Worthy goes down to minus 280. So
look, there's a lot of history here. Of his last 39 catches, 36 were for less than 9 yards or less.
Say the 10-yard bit again.
Worthy, the 10-yard bit is player to record a 10-plus yard reception. All right, so 10 yards or more.
Yeah.
The yes is Worthy minus 1050.
Right.
So the no, we're coming back at, I don't know, plus 750, plus 780, something like that.
Now we're talking.
Worthy to record a 20-yard reception or more. I keeps getting what the
I have it at minus 115 for 20 plus.
Right. Well, if you don't like him to catch a long reception.
Yeah, what's the no?
The no is going to be 115 the other way. I like it. 20 yards or more with everything you laid out. I mean,
Would you take a 3-1 flyer on him getting one explosive play in a game where you need just one moment, and the only guy in your offense that gives you an offensive burst from a speed standpoint, Xavier Worthy?
Need a missed tackle or two.
Plus 320 for 30 plus.
All right, I'm going to give you one more. I didn't think we'd use all of my data on this, but I'm giving you more.
I'm not a hedge guy, but like Nordo hit on, say it's a $50 spotting. If the intel and the data ends up coming to fruition, and the eye test too, because you've watched him all season, is the under on the 10 plus. Yeah. Okay, so here's the deal. Here's the $30 I'm going to give you at plus 780 or whatever. He ain't going to go 10 or more. Then with my other 20, I'm going to go, well, if he does, I need it to be 30 or more.
I need to go for size.
At plus 320.
Oh.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden his longest reception in the game, 17 yards, and we're all stuck as usual. Hey!
Buffalo allows the fourth shortest air yards per target in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So the Bills do not give up long passes. Xavier Worthy isn't targeted on long passes. He doesn't catch long passes. Wow. He has to turn a short pass into a long gain, which he could do because he's super fast. Maybe it's a seam or whatever. But we're looking for spicy angles.
Yeah,
there you go, Xavier Worthy. I like the angle you just found. I can get 10-1 odds on him not getting a catch of more than
7.5
10 yards.
How about this?
7.8.
Xavier Worthy, 31-yard connection in their first matchup.
Oh,
explosive play!
Hey,
explosive play. I'm getting paid if he does it again.
I like the under 10, 9 and under.
Yeah.
And the 30 and over that you slip down to the plus 320.
Hey, if you're going to
it has a little hedge to it.
It
does. But wow, that's good.
That's a big window, though. Right there in the middle.
The Tennessee Titans have the first overall pick in the draft, and there's steam that's bouncing around the interweb that a certain Colorado Buffalo is absolutely the player they'll take. We'll talk about that and more when we return. You put far too much time into this, Tolstoy.
I did.
To have some prominent names left on the metaphorical cutting room floor. So, like when it comes to player notes for you with a side dish of props, you didn't talk about Josh Allen.
No.
Over Allen's last 7 meetings, Spagnuolo has been unable to stop Allen's rushing. 58 rushing yards, 0.7 rushing touchdowns per game.
That's a lot.
So what do you think about this?
Wow. One of the ways that the Bills win is Josh Allen's a hyper-productive runner, which is a problem. And you look at Kansas City, and they have struggled against rushing quarterbacks. Just a few weeks ago, Week 18, Bo Nix, 47 rushing yards against the Chiefs. Against the Chiefs. That was Week 18. Week 17, Russell Wilson, 55 rushing yards. Russell Wilson doesn't even have wheels anymore. And when you look at Josh Allen being able to run at will against this team and this Steve Spagnuolo defense, that could be a big factor for Josh Allen. He's not thrown very well against the Chiefs, and they've got a good secondary led by Trent McDuffie. A lot of the way this thing's going to work out for Buffalo to win is going to be Josh Allen. Show me that Josh Allen rushing line, and I'll tell you who wins this game.
Sources tell me in the victory most recently for Kansas City against the Houston Texans, those supporting Chiefs Kingdom, or spotting up. Got playoff Kelsey. 8 targets, 7 catches, 117 yards, and a score. Now, the Bills shut down Kelsey in Week 11, but that was regular season Kelsey.
Yep.
How are you going to analyze this?
Well, Nardo alluded to the fact that in the Week 11 meeting between these teams, they went all out to stop Kelsey, and Noah Gray scored 2 touchdowns against him. I think they'll play Kelsey more straight up in this one because they went to Noah Gray and got productivity out of the tight end position anyway. So I think they play Kelsey more straight up. What I don't understand is, you guys watched the game, I assume. I'm looking at Travis Kelsey, and I think it was, Aikman or whoever was doing the game, noted this as well. Dude is slow. He is running in cement out there, but yet he's always open. Houston has nobody near him, and I'm looking at him going, the guy can barely move at this age, and nobody's on him. The Bills are going to figure that out. I think the Bills will do a better job of managing Travis Kelsey and being able to slow him down. And I just don't know that he's got the athleticism at his age now to do spectacular plays. He's got to get open on guile. And I don't know. I just want to believe that the Bills are good enough to keep somebody on him.
Well, meanwhile, somebody who's not old and can run is A.J. Brown. It's a wide receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles. And strangely, of late, not really involved in that offense.
It is weird. When these teams met in previously, when the Eagles and Commanders met in Week 16, you'll remember Jalen Hurts got knocked out of that game right away.
Yeah.
We're like 5 minutes into the game, and it was all Kenny Pickett the rest of the way. So what does Kenny Pickett do? He targets the one guy what I would do if I were the quarterback. I'm just throwing to AJ Brown every play and just let him go get my wobblers.
Yeah.
Since that game, he had 15 targets. A.J. Brown had 15 targets in that Week 16 game that Jalen Hurts missed most of. Since then, 3 catches for 36 yards, 1 catch for 10 yards, and 2 catches for 14 yards for A.J. Brown. Now, there's nothing wrong with A.J. Brown from a health standpoint. He comes out of this healthy, but this is a brutal matchup to try to get right on. Since Cooper DeJean was inserted into the starting lineup in Week 6 when he got healthy, here's where the Eagles rank against in receiving defense. Passing yards allowed, number 1. Yards per completion, number 1. Opposer passer rating, number 1. And sacks, they're number 3.
Hey.
It's a great pass defense, and I can't tell you that A.J. Brown's going to get right here.
What the psychological dichotomy of Paul Charchian. Because I look at these notes, this Tolstoy, every single week, up to the Friday football feast, and you kind of know, hey, we're going to do Greenway here, and we're going to have young Alec come here, and then maybe, a historical Viking or an old schooler here or whatever.
Yeah.
And here's how we're going to do the show. And I'll be Thursday night, a little tired. I'm like, that's cool. I'm just going to write the next morning and sit back and rely on the Tolstoy and all of the learned notes that are in it to carry the Friday football feast. And then all of a sudden, I crack it open in the old email, page and a half. Page and a half with 9 Vikings things. Nordo and I talked out 15 different ways the previous 4 days. And I'm like, okay.
Sometimes I have tough weeks.
Now we come into a conference championship weekend. I have the open handled, a couple of highlights. Then we got Greenway. Then we got young Alec. We got Courtney coming up in 10 minutes. And you send this voluminous packet of conference championship notes that nobody's ever going to see.
I know.
And or hear unless we ask you and push you on Dallas Goedert or A.J. Brown or Travis Kelsey or Samaje Perine. Why? The dichotomy of the mind. Why?
Well, because I have the time to do it. That's why, because fantasy season is effectively over.
But the time.
So now I have time.
So this is just in case.
Yes,
we want to get it in.
That's right.
I see.
So I don't always know where we're going to go on this show. So I put some extra work in. Plus. Sometimes you just get in a roll. I'm breaking down this game, and I'm like, look at this Dallas Goedert thing. Oh, I got to get that.
No, you do. Goddard. And see, you almost left it out. And from Superstats Dave to some other sharps who happen to be my friends from the CBY, they're all listening right now, and they're all taking notes on whatever these props are, not to blindly bet them, but to analyze them, because we pay attention to them like the sharps. So Dallas Goedert over 38.5 and an anytime touchdown of plus 300. What in the heck is this?
Well, first, we hit the two Dallas Goedert bets last week. We went over on receptions and yards, and he hit both of those.
That was the wedding. Here comes the funeral.
Here comes plus 110 is coming your way. Over 38.5 yards and the anytime touchdown plus 300. Now, he's got an ankle injury. You'll have to make your own decision on whether or not you're comfortable with that. He did not practice Wednesday. He did practice yesterday. So you'll have to decide if how much of a factor that is in your own risk tolerance level. Yeah. On paper, Washington looks like a great tight end defense. But then I start digging into it, and they haven't played any tight ends. They're an insanely soft schedule against the position.
Laporta's high end.
He is. Now listen to this. I could identify 4 tight ends, and only 4 good ones at a Dallas Goedert level or better that Washington played all year, and they did well. Here's what you get. They only, for what I determined, I'd say Dallas Goedert is like a tier 2 tight end. They only played these 4 guys that are close to Dallas Goedert. Sam Laporta last week, 51 yards and a score.
Yep.
Pat Freiermuth in week 10, touchdown. Week 6, Mark Andrews, 66 yards and a score. Ooh. And then week 11, they played Dallas Goedert, 61 yards. They just haven't played anybody, so they look like a good tight end defense on paper. I'm suggesting to you they're not. They just haven't played very many good tight ends.
And Philly does not play 2 tight ends ever.
No, that almost
I don't
never.
know who their second tight end is.
Calcaterra.
Calcaterra.
Who is basically
He's a
invisible.
Tight end or a wide receiver?
He's a tight end.
Oh, geez.
Basically invisible if Dallas Goedert's on the field.
Yeah. Okay, and in closing for this segment, and from the Tolstoy, we teased it into the pause, but it's and I saw this too on the internet. A lot of people probably have seen it, but let's gauge it for validity before we pause. For beloved CC joining us from Chicagoland, the Titans say they won't pass on a quote generational talent with the first overall pick in the 2025 draft. Now, the Titans have Will Levis, for better or for worse. And then you got the Miami quarterback Cam Ward. You have Shedeur Sanders, Deion's kid. There have been mocks that have them going 1-2, 2-3, 1-3, stuff like that. But Tennessee wants a generational talent.
Yeah.
And it could be Travis Hunter, the dual threat from the Buffaloes.
Well, he feels like he's so much better than everybody else in this draft, so that when Tennessee says they're not going to pass on a generational talent with the first overall pick, it sounds like they're referring to Travis Hunter and not a quarterback.
I agree.
The quarterbacks in this draft, according to people smarter than me that are way more up to speed on this coming draft cycle than me, are saying, had the quarterbacks that will probably be taken at the top of this draft, Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward, had they been in last year's draft, they would have been mid first round picks. Not ahead of Bo Nix, not ahead of J.J. McCarthy. They would have been like guys picked 15, pick 17, pick 20.
Yep.
That's the level that they're at. But in this weaker quarterback draft, those guys will probably be picked at or near the top.
Top 5?
Probably top 5. And if not by one of the teams already in the top 5, then by some team that's going to trade into it. But let me ask you this. Here's the thing about the Titans, though, and I think there's a direct correlation to be made. 3 years ago, George Payton with the Denver Broncos had a decision to make about taking a quarterback or taking the best player available, and they went with Patrick Surtain, who is arguably the best, he might win defensive MVP. He is an awesome player. And objectively, that pick made sense because they identified Surtain as an awesome player, and he is.
Right.
But what did they win last year? 5 games. Then they go get Bo Nix.
Yeah.
You get Bo Nix, and Bo Nix is good. He's not awesome, but he's good.
Right.
And now you're a playoff team.
Right.
And so I wonder about winning the battle versus the war.
Yeah.
Yes, you don't want to reach for a quarterback, but until you have a functional quarterback, you can't do anything in this league. It's so hard. And so Tennessee's going to be in a really interesting spot. Do you take the best player Travis Hunter, when you have gaping need at quarterback and really just let that go? Or do you go, all right, we need a quarterback and we're so desperate, we're gonna take somebody that doesn't belong at pick one.
Yeah.
Like say Cam Ward, and we're just gonna go with that.
And the great news is we have plenty of time to analyze it up to the combine and up to the NFL draft, because it is a juicy talker. As is Ben Johnson, coaching a division rival. The very best when it comes to covering the Chicago Bears is Courtney Cronin from ESPN and ESPN.com. And CC joins us.